Josh, disappointing day at the office really for League Town.
Yeah, very much so. It's been a day where the best team won. They were better than us. There's no two ways about that. And we obviously had a chance in the first few minutes that they managed to keep out by hook or by crook. Ultimately, aside from that, we haven't really threatened the goal or looked like we were going to score. So, the goals were disappointing. We went in at bad times for us. Not that there's ever a good time to concede. But of course, once it went 2-0, they were able to keep us at arm's length.
Of course, you were missing a key defender because Liam was missing. It's the tail end of his. He's missing, isn't he, because of his suspension? So, how much did you miss him?
Yeah, listen, you're always going to miss a player of the calibre of Liam. We're obviously delighted that we've managed to keep him with us. And I genuinely think he's the best defender in this division. I've said that before, and I'm quite happy to go on record and say that. So yes, of course we were going to miss him, but we trusted the 11 that we picked today. We genuinely believe we could come here and cause some problems. Nothing's going to change just off the back of today's performance and result. They haven't turned into players that we don't believe are good enough to play at this level, or a team that can compete and be successful at this level. Absolutely not. But we have had a difficult day where we're going to have to lick our wounds and learn pretty quickly from the things that we didn't do so well. Because in the Northern Premier League it's relentless. The games come thick and fast, and you have to do the basics really, really well to earn the right in any game to pick up points. So that's going to be a key focus, obviously, moving into the next game.
I should imagine there are fine margins in your selection. I mean, many players can interchange with each other. So, how do you select your side?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we look at the quality that we have in the group, and we look at the skill set that they have, and then you look at the opponent you're playing against, and think about the strengths and weaknesses of their team as well, to obviously help us to decide what we think is the right 11 to start the game, and sometimes the right personnel to come into the game. The games aren't always won in the first hour. Sometimes it's the latter parts of the game. So there's a lot that we consider around those decisions, and obviously we've had to leave people out altogether today, given the size of the squad at this moment in time. So it's never nice, it's never easy, but they're the tough decisions you have to make.
You'll be disappointed really in that. I think the goals could have been prevented, couldn't they, today?
Yeah, when their best player's 6 yards from the goal line, free as a bird, and obviously scores from what was essentially a throw-in that they've worked and managed to put a cross in, which didn't look too dangerous. That's really disappointing. The second one, we've given the ball away, cheaply. And within 2 passes, we've got caught flat on the back line, and they've got in behind us, and it's in our goal. And at that point, 2-0 down. When their tails are up, they're a good football team and they move the ball well, and that's what they did at 2-0 up. Everyone wants the ball, and they look like a team then that that were able to to really kind of assert the control. And listen, Dino's had to make some saves which prevented it from being more.
It could well have been, but I mean their keeper Atherton was came off to huge plaudits for a clean sheet, but in actual fact you didn't really trouble him at all, did you, this afternoon? No,
I mentioned the chance that Julius had in the first few minutes that was blocked by the defender on the line. Aside from that, we're really looking at half chances that we created. I remember Hayden having one actually in the first couple of minutes with a volley, but Will Russ had a header in the second half, but we didn't do anywhere near enough to score today.
So what's the process now? Obviously you're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater and so on.
No.
So what's the process now between now and the Rushall Olympic game?
Yeah, listen, at the end of the day, the lads have got to take the learning from today and be ready to go and face the challenges that come on Tuesday. What we've had a discussion about in there is the success that we have had with this group by and large, and how we got there, and what we did really well to get that success. And as I've already alluded to, the Northern Premier League, you have to earn the right to pick up points by doing the basics really, really well, and then you can assert yourself in terms of the way in which you play your attractive football and go and attack. So you got to earn the right by having a real solid foundation first and foremost to do that. So that has to be a clear focus going into Tuesday night against what will be a very tough team.
It will. Just one last question really. You brought Will Russ in quite late on. What's the thought process behind that? Because he is quite a quality player. He's got a good pedigree, hasn't he?
Yeah, we were delighted to be able to bring him in on loan. So we've been obviously looking to try and add competition in that central striking position throughout the course of pre-season. We've had to be patient, as have a lot of clubs. And I've spoke to a few managers who've said the same things. It's been quite a saturated market. It's been quite hard to find the right quality. So we've obviously waited and had this opportunity present itself to us, knowing that Will was available and his current circumstances, with Southport have meant that we've been able to bring him in. He's not played a load of football. He's trained throughout pre-season, but not had too many minutes. So he's obviously got a little bit of work to do to get up to speed. But to have him as a foil up there and obviously work alongside Connor, and either by sharing that load or obviously even at times playing together potentially is something that we're really grateful for.
And he was playing international football for Wales, wasn't he, up to a couple of years ago?
Yeah, like you say, he's got good pedigree, both in terms of where he's been, in terms of his younger years. Obviously came out of Fleetwood a couple of years ago, and since then's had obviously lots of experiences at this level, with multiple different clubs that he's been on loan at. So he's certainly, for a 22-year-old, pretty well established and quite well experienced.
And you got him for a lengthy bit of time, haven't you, I think, on loan?
Yeah, we got him for about 6 weeks, something like that, 5-6 weeks, I think.
So that'll be good to work with him.
Yeah, for sure.
Josh, things can only get better, can't they?
They certainly can. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.